Chinua Achebe's A Man of the People is a satirical novel that explores the themes of political corruption, moral decay, and the clash between tradition and modernity in post-colonial Africa. Published in 1966, the novel is set in an unnamed African country and follows the complex relationship between a young, idealistic teacher, Odili Samalu, and his former teacher, Chief Nanga, who has become a corrupt and powerful politician. Through sharp social commentary and rich characterization, Achebe dissects the political landscape of newly independent African nations. The story is narrated by Odili Samalu, a young and educated man who has returned to his rural village to work as a schoolteacher. Odili is disillusioned with the government, which he sees as corrupt and self-serving. His disillusionment is personified in Chief Nanga, his former teacher and now a prominent minister of culture. Chief Nanga is charming and charismatic, but he is also deeply corrupt, using his position to enrich himself at the expense of the people. Despite Odili's initial admiration for Nanga, he quickly becomes critical of the chief's moral failings. Chief Nanga visits Anata, the village where Odili teaches, as part of a political tour. During his visit, he is received with great fanfare, and the villagers shower him with praise and gifts, hoping to gain his favor. Odili, though skeptical, is initially drawn into Nanga's world of power and influence. He accompanies Nanga to the capital city, where he witnesses firsthand the extent of the chief's corruption. Nanga offers Odili a scholarship to study abroad, a bribe intended to buy his loyalty. As Odili becomes more involved in Nanga's world, he becomes increasingly disillusioned. He sees how Nanga and his fellow politicians manipulate the system for their personal gain, disregarding the needs of the people they are supposed to serve. Odili's growing awareness of the moral rot within the government leads him to reject Nanga's offer and distance himself from the corrupt political elite. This marks the beginning of Odili's transformation from a passive observer to an active participant in the political struggle. The relationship between Odili and Chief Nanga takes a personal turn when Odili becomes romantically interested in Edna Odo, a young woman whom Nanga is also pursuing as a second wife. Nanga's interest in Edna is more about satisfying his ego and asserting his power, while Odili's interest is genuine. This rivalry intensifies Odili's animosity toward Nanga and pushes him further toward taking a stand against the chief. The personal conflict mirrors the larger political struggle between them, spurred by his anger toward Nanga and his growing sense of moral responsibility. Odili decides to enter politics to challenge the corrupt regime. He joins a newly formed political party, the Common People's Convention, CPC, which aims to bring about change and challenge the entrenched powers of Nanga's party. Odili's decision to run for office against Nanga represents his commitment to fighting the corruption that he once observed passively. However, his motivations are also driven by personal revenge as much as by political ideals. As Odili begins his political campaign, he faces significant challenges. The ruling party, led by Nanga, uses its power and influence to undermine the opposition. Intimidation, bribery, and violence are employed to ensure Nanga's victory. Odili's campaign is met with hostility, and he is physically attacked by Nanga's supporters. The violence and corruption surrounding the election process highlight the deeply entrenched nature of the political system and the difficulty of bringing about change. Throughout the campaign, Odili grapples with his own motivations and moral dilemmas. He is aware that his initial decision to oppose Nanga was partly fueled by personal vendetta rather than purely by a desire to serve the people. This internal conflict reflects the broader theme of the novel: the challenge of maintaining integrity in a corrupt and compromised environment. Odili's struggle to reconcile his ideals with the realities of politics underscores the complexities of leadership and governance in a post-colonial context. The election becomes a turning point in the novel. Despite Odili's efforts, the election is rigged in favor of Nanga, and the CPC's attempt to challenge the ruling party ends in failure. The government's crackdown on the opposition is swift and brutal, leading to widespread violence and repression. Odili is betrayed by some of his allies, revealing the fragility of the political opposition and the pervasive influence of Nanga's corrupt regime. This betrayal forces Odili to confront the harsh realities of the political landscape. The novel's climax is marked by a military coup that overthrows the corrupt government. The coup is portrayed ambiguously. While it ends Nanga's reign and brings temporary relief from corruption, it also introduces a new form of authoritarian rule. The coup represents the cyclical nature of power in post-colonial Africa, where one corrupt regime is often replaced by another. Odili, who has been severely injured during the campaign, reflects on the uncertain future of the country and the futility of his own efforts. A Man of the People concludes on a somber note, with Odili contemplating the future of his country. The novel leaves readers with a sense of cynicism about the possibility of genuine change in a system so deeply entrenched in corruption and self-interest. Achebe's portrayal of the political landscape is both a critique of the post-colonial elite and a broader commentary on the challenges facing newly independent African nations. Through Odili's journey, Achebe explores the complexities of power, the fragility of ideals, and the difficult path to political and moral integrity.